But certainly, there is there is certainly a desire for compromise. There is certainly a desire on the part of countries like China, India, Brazil, South Africa, the basic group, to work towards a constructive outcome from Cancun. But there are some question marks. Japan has announced that it wants to abandon the Kyoto Protocol. There are other countries like Australia, Russia, New Zealand, which have also expressed a lot of Canada, which have expressed doubts on the continuation of the Kyoto Protocol. So that's one big question mark, the future of the Kyoto Protocol. Also, the fast start finance, the $30 billion that was promised for Africa, for small island states, for the LDCs, that does not seem to be forthcoming in a fast manner. In fact, I have said fast start finance is neither fast, nor start, nor finance. So you need to get this going. But China, India, Brazil, South Africa, the G77 are all working together to ensure that we have a positive outcome from Cancun on Friday.
And
balanced outcome will be a positive outcome.
okay.
If it is not balanced, it won't be a positive outcome.
So, what will be balanced outcome that, in view of the Indian delegation?
Well, certainly a balanced outcome package must have a commitment to extend the second commitment period of the Kyoto Protocol. A balanced outcome must have firm commitments on disbursement of fast start finance. A balanced outcome must have a decision to establish a technology cooperation mechanism. A balanced outcome must have a mechanism to promote adaptation in the developing countries. A balanced outcome must have a forestry agreement. And of course, balanced outcome must have some measures for promoting transparency and accountability on mitigation actions. So there are 6 or 7 building blocks of the final agreement on which we are seeking a balanced conclusions. We must have the extension of the second commitment period. We cannot compromise. We are not going to agree to a legally binding agreement at Cancun. We can work towards legal outcomes over the next couple of years. But to say that we will have a legally binding outcome now is premature because we don't have the substance of that outcome as well. We cannot compromise on the faster disbursement of fast start finance for developing countries. Actually, all the compromise that China and India have done was already done in Copenhagen. When Prime Minister Wen Jiabao, Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, President Zuma, President Lula met with President Obama, whatever compromise had to be done by the basic countries had already been done. So there is no need for us for any further compromise at Cancun.
Would you elaborate on that compromise?
Well, what we said was that we are undertaking voluntary domestic mitigation action, and we are willing to share information on that action with the international community in a spirit of transparency and accountability. We are agreeable to setting up a system called international consultations and analysis. It is not review, it is not scrutiny, it is not assessment, but it is a system of consultations in order to enhance the confidence of the international community in the domestic mitigation actions. That was a very big compromise. These are mitigation actions that are not financed by anybody. It is domestically financed. So for us to say, all right, we will tell the world what we are doing in a spirit of transparency and accountability was a big compromise for China, was a big compromise for India. And I think that is what made the Copenhagen Accord possible. Global goal, and you say that you want to limit the temperature rise to 2 degrees or 1.5 degrees or 1 degree Celsius, you must ensure that the developmental rights of developing countries are fully protected. China has to grow at 9 to 10% per year. China is a developing country. India has to grow at 9 to 10% per year. We are a developing country. So we cannot compromise on our developmental path. We need to abolish poverty. We need to provide electricity. We need to provide mobility. We need to industrialize. So what we are saying is that the equitable access to sustainable development. Sustainable development is a fundamental right of every Chinese, of every Indian. So why should we barter it away? We are responsible citizens of the world. We would like to work with the international community, but ultimately we have to protect. China has to protect its developmental goals. India has to protect its developmental goals. That is what we are saying, equitable access to developments. When you have a...
The other day you also talked about per capita share of emissions along with in calculation with per capita share of the GDP.
Well, I said that there are alternative ways of looking at equity. One is per capita emissions, which is the best way of looking at it because it gives every individual the right to develop. Okay, this is not the right to pollute. It is the right to sustainable development. We can also bring in some measure of per capita income because as a country becomes richer, you must take on more and more responsibilities for mitigation. A poor country need not spend so much time on mitigation, right? But when you become richer and richer, you must become a little more conscious of your mitigation responsibilities. That's what I meant by saying per capita emissions is the best measure, but we can also look at per capita income as well.
Thank you.